Part 1, Introduction. What if I told you that 3 simple symptoms you might dismiss as everyday inconveniences could actually be your body's urgent plea for help? What if ignoring these signs could mean the difference between catching a life-threatening disease early or facing a much more difficult battle later? Welcome to today's episode, where we're going to explore a story that could quite literally save your life or the life of someone you love. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you who has subscribed to our podcast, shared our episodes with friends and family, and taken the time to leave thoughtful comments. Your support means the world to us, and it's because of listeners like you that we can continue bringing important health information directly to your ears. Today, we're diving into the powerful and eye-opening story of Paige Seifert, a young woman who received a diagnosis that would change her life forever when she was just 24 years old. Her experience serves as a crucial reminder that sometimes the most ordinary symptoms can be extraordinary warning signs, and that advocating for our own health isn't just important, it can be life-saving. Before we begin, I want you to know that this isn't just another medical information session. This is a conversation about listening to your body, trusting your instincts, and understanding that age doesn't always protect us from serious health conditions. Paige's story is one of resilience, awareness, and most importantly, a call to action for all of us to take seemingly minor health changes seriously. So, let me ask you this. When was the last time you experienced fatigue that seemed to linger longer than usual, or stomach discomfort that felt somehow different from your typical digestive issues? These might seem like questions with obvious, harmless answers, but as we'll discover today, they could be much more significant than you think. Part 2. The story unfolds. Let's step into Paige's world for a moment. Picture this. You're 24 years old, presumably in the prime of your life, with decades ahead of you. You're experiencing some symptoms, but they seem so normal, so everyday, so easily explainable by the busy, stressful life that many of us lead. This is exactly what happened to Paige Seifert, and it's a scenario that could happen to any one of us. Paige was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer at the remarkably young age of 24. Now, when we hear colon cancer, many of us might immediately think of older adults, perhaps our grandparents or elderly relatives. The reality, however, is far more complex and frankly, more concerning than many people realize. Paige's story challenges our assumptions about who can be affected by this serious condition and when. What makes Paige's story particularly compelling and educational is her honesty about initially dismissing her symptoms. This isn't a story about someone who immediately recognized danger signs and rushed to the doctor. This is a story about a young woman who, like so many of us, explained away concerning symptoms as nothing more than the normal ups and downs of daily life. Since her diagnosis, Paige has become an advocate, sharing her experience on social media platforms like TikTok to encourage others to seek medical attention when something doesn't feel right. Her message is simple yet profound. Don't ignore your body's signals, no matter how minor they might seem. And don't let your age convince you that serious conditions can't affect you. The 3 symptoms that Paige initially brushed off and later recognized as crucial warning signs are symptoms that millions of people experience regularly. This is what makes her story so universally relevant and so important for all of us to understand. These aren't obscure, rare symptoms that only medical professionals would recognize. They're everyday experiences that most of us have had at some point in our lives. But here's the critical distinction that Paige learned the hard way. It's not just about having these symptoms occasionally. It's about recognizing patterns, persistent changes, and combinations of symptoms that might signal something more serious is happening in your body. It's about understanding that your body has its own normal baseline, and when multiple things start changing from that baseline simultaneously, it's worth investigating further. Paige's journey through the medical system also highlights another crucial aspect of healthcare advocacy: persistence. Her story reveals that even when you do seek medical attention, you might need to continue pushing for more comprehensive testing if your symptoms persist and your instincts tell you something isn't right.
Part 3. The 3 critical warning signs. Now let's examine the 3 specific warning signs that Paige experienced and that she wishes she hadn't initially ignored. Understanding these symptoms could be the key to early detection, and early detection can make all the difference in treatment outcomes and the long-term health prospects. The first warning sign: persistent fatigue. Fatigue might be the most universal human experience. We all get tired. We all have days when we feel like we're running on empty. In our fast-paced society, being exhausted has almost become a badge of honor, a sign that we're working hard and living full lives. But Paige's experience teaches us that there's a crucial difference between normal tiredness and the kind of fatigue that should concern us. As Paige explained, fatigue can indeed be attributed to many different factors: insufficient sleep, demanding work schedules, intense exercise routines, or simply the general stress of modern living. However, she emphasized that this fatigue, when combined with her other symptoms, became a significant indicator that something more serious was happening in her body. The key here is understanding your own patterns. We all have a sense of our normal energy levels, our typical response to a good night's sleep, and how we usually bounce back from periods of exhaustion. When fatigue becomes persistent, when it doesn't respond to adequate rest, or when it feels qualitatively different from your usual tiredness, it may be time to investigate further. Medical experts recognize fatigue as a potential symptom of numerous underlying conditions, including vitamin deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, and yes, various types of cancer. The important takeaway isn't to panic every time you feel tired, but rather to pay attention when fatigue becomes a persistent pattern that doesn't align with your lifestyle or improve with rest. The second warning sign: stomach pain and discomfort. Digestive issues are incredibly common, and most of us have experienced stomach pain or discomfort at various points in our lives. We might attribute it to something we ate, stress, changes in our routine, or any number of seemingly logical explanations. This is exactly what made Paige's second symptom so easy to dismiss initially. Paige described her stomach pain as super sporadic, not constant, not following predictable patterns, but definitely noticeable when it occurred. She said it felt like something was off, whether manifesting as nausea, stomach pains, or stomach cramping. This description is particularly important because it highlights how our bodies often communicate with us through subtle sensations rather than dramatic, unmistakable signals. The challenge with digestive symptoms is that they can be caused by so many different factors: dietary choices, stress levels, changes in our routine, hormonal fluctuations, and countless other variables. However, Paige's experience demonstrates the importance of paying attention to patterns and trusting your instincts when something feels consistently off, even if you can't pinpoint exactly what might be wrong.
What's particularly noteworthy about Paige's description is her emphasis on the feeling that something was off. This kind of intuitive body awareness is something we all possess, but often ignore in our logical, explanation-seeking minds. Sometimes our bodies know something is wrong before our conscious minds can articulate exactly what that might be. The third warning sign, blood in stool, is perhaps the most obviously concerning, yet it's also one that can be easily explained away or attributed to less serious conditions. This is exactly what happened to Paige. And unfortunately, it's what happened with the first 3 doctors she consulted as well. Blood and stool can indeed be caused by several conditions that aren't cancer-related, including hemorrhoids or anal fissures. For women, it can sometimes be confused with menstrual bleeding. These alternative explanations can provide a false sense of security and lead both patients and healthcare providers to overlook more serious possibilities. What makes Paige's experience particularly instructive is that multiple medical professionals initially attributed her symptom to hemorrhoids. This highlights an important lesson about healthcare advocacy. Even when medical professionals provide explanations for your symptoms, if those symptoms persist or are accompanied by other concerning signs, it's appropriate and necessary to continue seeking answers. The National Health Service provides clear guidance on this symptom. If you've had blood in your stool for 3 weeks or more, or if you're experiencing significant pain, you should see a doctor. More urgently, if your stool is black or dark red, if you have bloody diarrhea, if you're bleeding continuously, or if there's a lot of blood, immediate medical attention is required. Paige's persistence in seeking further diagnostic testing, despite initial dismissals from healthcare providers, ultimately led to her proper diagnosis. Her experience demonstrates that being your own health advocate sometimes means respectfully questioning initial assessments and pushing for more comprehensive evaluation when your instincts tell you something isn't right.
Part 4. Understanding colon cancer and taking action. Now that we've explored Paige's specific warning signs, let's broaden our understanding of colon cancer, also known as bowel cancer, to give you a more comprehensive picture of this condition and why early detection is so crucial. Colon cancer ranks as one of the most common types of cancer in the United Kingdom, and similar statistics hold true across the United States and Western Europe. This prevalence makes understanding its symptoms not just helpful, but potentially life-saving for millions of people. The encouraging news is that bowel cancer screening programs can detect cancer in its early stages, when treatment options are typically more effective and outcomes are generally more positive. Let's examine the full spectrum of symptoms that medical experts associate with colon cancer. While Paige experienced 3 specific signs, the condition can manifest in various ways, and understanding this broader symptom profile can help you make more informed decisions about your health. Comprehensive symptom recognition. Changes in bowel habits represent one of the most significant categories of symptoms to monitor. This includes alterations in stool consistency, such as persistently softer stools or experiencing diarrhea or constipation that represents a departure from your normal patterns. The key word here is normal. Because everyone's digestive system operates differently, you're the best judge of what constitutes a significant change in your personal patterns. Frequency changes in bowel movements also warrant attention. If you find yourself needing to use the bathroom significantly more or less often than is typical for you, and this change persists over time, it's worth discussing with a healthcare provider. Our bodies typically establish fairly consistent patterns, and sustained deviations from these patterns can be meaningful. Visual changes in stool, particularly the presence of blood, require immediate attention. Blood might appear red or black, and bleeding can occur from the rectum even without bowel movements. It's important to note that while these symptoms can be frightening, they don't automatically indicate cancer, but they do indicate the need for proper medical evaluation. The sensation of incomplete bowel movements is another symptom that many people experience, but might not immediately recognize as significant.
If you frequently feel like you need to use the bathroom even immediately after having a bowel movement, this persistent sensation warrants medical attention. Systemic symptoms and their significance. Beyond digestive-specific symptoms, colon cancer can manifest through more general physical changes that affect your overall well-being. Abdominal pain, whether persistent or intermittent, should be evaluated, particularly if it doesn't respond to typical remedies or if it feels different from occasional digestive discomfort you've experienced before. The presence of abdominal lumps or masses, detectable through touch, represents a more advanced symptom that requires immediate medical attention. Similarly, persistent bloating that doesn't resolve with dietary changes or typical remedies should be investigated. Unexplained weight loss is a symptom that often concerns people immediately, and rightfully so. If you're losing weight without making intentional changes to your diet or exercise routine, this could indicate various underlying conditions, including cancer, that require medical evaluation. Finally, persistent fatigue or shortness of breath, symptoms that Paige experienced, can indicate anemia, which can be caused by bowel cancer. These symptoms often develop gradually, making them easy to attribute to lifestyle factors. But when they persist despite adequate rest and good health practices, they warrant investigation. Taking action. When and how to seek medical care. The medical guidance for when to seek care is clear and practical. If you've experienced any symptoms associated with bowel cancer for 3 weeks or more, you should schedule an appointment with your general practitioner. This 3-week time frame provides a reasonable period for minor, temporary issues to resolve while ensuring that persistent symptoms receive appropriate attention. However, certain symptoms require more urgent care. If your stool appears black or dark red, or if you're experiencing bloody diarrhea, don't wait for a routine appointment. Contact emergency services or urgent care facilities immediately. Similarly, if you're experiencing continuous bleeding from your rectum or notice large amounts of blood during bowel movements, seek immediate emergency medical attention.
The power of persistence and self-advocacy. Paige's story illustrates a crucial aspect of modern healthcare, the importance of being your own advocate. Her experience with multiple healthcare providers who initially dismissed her symptoms as hemorrhoids demonstrates that even medical professionals can sometimes overlook serious conditions, particularly in younger patients, where certain diseases are considered less likely. This doesn't mean questioning every medical opinion or becoming adversarial with healthcare providers. Rather, it means maintaining open communication about persistent symptoms, asking questions when explanations don't seem to fully account for your experience, and respectfully requesting additional testing when symptoms continue despite initial treatments. Your age should never be a barrier to seeking comprehensive medical care. While certain conditions are more common in specific age groups, Paige's story demonstrates that serious diseases can affect young adults. Don't let assumptions about age-related risk prevent you from seeking appropriate care for concerning symptoms. Conclusion and call to action. As we reach the end of today's episode, I want to return to the question we started with. What if those seemingly ordinary symptoms are actually your body's way of asking for help? Paige Seifert's story provides a powerful answer to that question and offers all of us a roadmap for taking better care of our health. The 3 warning signs that Paige experienced, persistent fatigue, stomach pain and discomfort, and blood in stool, are symptoms that millions of people experience. The difference between dismissing them and acting on them could literally be life-changing. But more than just knowing these symptoms, Paige's story teaches us about the importance of trusting our instincts, persisting when something doesn't feel right, and never letting our age convince us that we're immune to serious health conditions.
I want to thank you, our dedicated listeners, for joining us on this important conversation today. Your engagement with content like this helps spread awareness that could genuinely save lives. If today's episode resonated with you, please consider sharing it with friends and family members who might benefit from this information. Sometimes the simple act of sharing knowledge can make all the difference in someone's health journey. We encourage you to subscribe to our podcast if you haven't already, as we continue to bring you important health information presented in an accessible, actionable format. Your subscriptions help us reach more people with potentially life-saving information, and your positive comments and reviews help others discover our content when they need it most. If you have suggestions for future episodes or health topics you'd like us to explore, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're always looking for ways to serve our community better and provide the information that matters most to you.
Medical disclaimer. Before we conclude, I must provide an important disclaimer. The information shared in today's episode is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it because of something you have heard in this podcast. If you are experiencing any of the symptoms discussed today, please consult with a healthcare professional promptly. Every individual's situation is unique, and only a qualified medical professional can provide personalized advice based on your specific circumstances and medical history. Thank you for listening, and remember, your health is your most valuable asset. Take care of it, advocate for it, and never hesitate to seek professional help when something doesn't feel right.